all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Hey, welcome to November 2023. We just had a really lovely Halloween season. I hope you all enjoyed it. Probably still working on the candies. I'm not really into that, but some people are, and they go weeks and weeks and weeks. My daughter used to collect all kinds of candy and would go on probably for about 2 months or something like that. It's probably an exaggeration, but she was very organized with that and would chart all the candy. It was just kind of nutty. Anywho, November 2023. Welcome to it. We just got 2 more months left of 2023. Make the most of it. Today, I have a great musician, singer-songwriter based out of New England. Her name is Kerri Powers. We talk about her new album, which just came out, called Love Is Why. Has a lot of great songs on there. She is a kind of like Bonnie Raitt. And a lot of them, Bonnie Raitt really has inspired a lot of female musicians, singer-songwriters, and this is no exception. It's just really, really just incredible. She works with the wonderful Paul Thorne on this. We talk a little bit about that. So I hope you enjoy. Good morning. How are you doing?
How are you, Bob?
Good, good. Oh, it's a little bit early for certain people, but we always soldier on.
No, man, I'm good. I get up at like 5:30 every morning.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Take a
Yeah.
dog out to walk or something like that, or just that's
Yeah.
your habit?
I have a little dog and I work out nice and early. It's a good way to start the day,
Oh, it always is. It really
Yeah.
is. I like when I can get a run in the morning. Don't do it like every single morning. I'll do other stuff on certain days. But
Yeah.
wow, it just feels great and it's quiet and you got it all to yourself. That's a wonderful feeling.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So where are you at?
I'm actually in a little place called Canton, Connecticut, which is closer to the northwest corner. Not too
Okay.
far. I'm about 30 minutes from the Berkshires and about maybe 45 from the border of New York, like Millerton, New York. So it's nice out here. It's quiet.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. A little bit more bearable summers. I'm here in the Southeast. I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So it
Wow.
gets a
Ooh,
little, yeah.
hot. Yeah, yeah.
It was another brutal summer, as always expected. Some are worse than others. It was just really so much the humidity this past
Yeah.
summer.
It's
Oh,
crazy, right? It's crazy.
finally. Finally, it's breaking. It always does. You always get like to that second week in October, and it's like, finally, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah. Must be a great feeling of relief for you guys, right?
Exactly. I have a 25-year-old, and she left about 4 years ago to go to the Northeast. She loves New Jersey. She was in
Oh,
Boston for like 3 years, and the last year plus she's been in the Elizabeth, New Jersey area.
wow. Is she here for school or just
She,
work?
yeah, to work, and she works remotely. She can be anywhere really, but she loves the Northeast. Really loved Boston, and then
Nice.
obviously New York. Just fell in
Yeah,
love
it's
with
a
it.
nice, it really is a beautiful area. I mean, I'm from a little place called East Taunton, Massachusetts. So
Yeah, yeah.
Boston is like a lot of family folks there, like on the music side and family otherwise. So it's been really great living there and growing up there. It's a good place for kids to go to school and stuff,
Yeah, I
you know.
noticed that. And she was in Waltham for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
It's really cute. Yeah, I noticed they were building a new high school there too. So they were really getting
Mhm.
into it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful area. And then for years she lived in Belmont, and there's a great running path there. I ran to Somerville and back. It's just
Oh,
like
nice.
gorgeous. Yeah, really, really nice. Lived near the Alewife station. They got a good
Yeah,
train system there.
yeah, it's good area.
Love it there. Yeah. So speaking of growing up, how did you get into music and get involved in all of this?
Well, it came by way of a pretty organic process, I guess. Both of my parents were avid music lovers. My mom is a visual artist. So she had quite an eclectic mix of music, everything from Janis Joplin to Joan Baez, Bob Dylan. And then my dad was more into the classic countryside, Merle Haggard, Patsy Cline, that ilk of music. So I was always exposed to music growing up. I don't think there was really many days that we didn't have like at least the radio on. And I just always had like a great love of music. So I started writing poetry and song lyrics when I was about 9 years old. And I took an interest in guitar. I was a huge fan of Neil Young. So anything I could get my hands on that had anything to do with Neil Young at the time,
Mm,
I did that. And I really kind of consider him somewhat of a mentor, really, because I really got into that. And then blues. When I discovered the blues, that was the end of it. So it's sort of a combination
oh
of those
yeah.
two things. And songwriting. I mean, I've always written poetry. I'm a member of a writers group here in town that I really love. So I've just always kind of been active in that, the writing, the songwriting end of it. And then the music, I just love music. And then visual art too. I'm also a painter.
Yeah, it's just all that right-brained activity, which is probably
Yeah,
just like so probably extreme. And then the
it
left
is.
brain stuff is like, oh gosh, it's not
It,
creative
it's
stuff.
really
So
hard because
yeah.
I've really struggled with being on time from the time I can remember. And it's nothing that I do intentionally. And I kind of check out sometimes. And I think it's just how the brain works, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely right brained. And I did a lot of research on that. And now I better understand why certain things take place the way that they do. It's not like there's necessarily something wrong with me. That's how I roll.
Yeah, but I would say that that's probably true of a lot of artists. And a lot of concerts start at least a half hour later more. I mean, it's like,
Right.
okay, they're
Right.
waiting for people to filter in. That kind of works out
Yeah.
too. But yeah, every
Yeah.
show I've ever been to, they're always late.
No, it's awesome now. My husband does all my road management. So he makes
Okay.
sure he's an engineer. So you can imagine he's just the opposite. He's left brain. So we're on time now,
He makes
which is
sure it's
good,
probably,
right?
yeah, you
Yeah,
always need a good taskmaster. It's like,
that's
yeah, this
right.
person keeps me in line, keeps the schedule online. That's very, very good. So it all
Yeah.
encapsulates, you got a good new full-length album that just like
Mhm.
it's so powerful. Love
Thank,
is why. And just how did that all come about? And what a great collection of songs.
thank you for asking. You know, I had kind of a rough time right before COVID hit. Unfortunately, I was always really close with my dad, and he ended up with vascular dementia and was really sick. But luckily, it didn't drag on. Within 9 months of his diagnosis, he passed. But it was just a time where, like anyone else, your life is really busy, things are happening, and it's never a convenient time, obviously, when things get busy. And I was trying to just balance my life personally, with the music and stuff, but there's nothing more important than family. So
Hmm.
all of that hit at a certain time. And then within about 10 months of his passing, I was over in Europe, about to do a European tour with a wonderful label over there. And we found out literally, like, I wasn't even there maybe 5 hours. And we got the call that Trump had put a travel ban, in place because COVID hit, and I had to rush home. It wasn't really like a nightmare, honestly, as far as going through pre-clearance, and it was just like crazy at the airport trying to get out, in and out. So, when things like this happen, you realize how important your life is in terms of your family and the love that you have for people. And I believe I've always been that way, but it was never more true than when those things happen. So 3 months, I got home, my guitar was lost in transit.
Oh,
I got that, and I love, I love, but again, it's material stuff. It doesn't matter. So it was a good lesson, really. And about 3 months into that, I just realized like I wasn't writing anything. And I think it was because of a culmination of all of this stuff that had happened. And then I started to write. It just kind of like opened everything up, and the songs just came like more naturally. It wasn't, I've never been the type of writer, like I don't think I could ever be a staff writer in Nashville. I have a great amount of admiration for folks that can do that, because I think I'm more intuitive, like in terms of, I'm an intuitive painter and an intuitive, I guess, artist, musician. So I just sort of let the things land. You know what I mean? I let the songs land, and I sort of let the material or the songs reveal themselves to me and went from there. But it took a while after all of that happened. And, I really am thankful for the material and for the ability to do what I do, because it was really healing. And you always hope as an artist that the main job that we have, I always tell people it's more like being a song doctor, right? Because you
Yeah,
really want
yeah.
to heal people through the truth of your songs. And through my grieving, I'm hoping that some of those songs will connect. I've never been a political songwriter, but there are certain songs on the record that kind of speak to that end of things as well. I mean, how could they not, right? With
Yeah,
the world
especially
the way it is
during this
right now.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
got to get your feelings.
it's a different record in that way, that there were certain things that kind of came out of like the results for me were even surprising. Like, geez, where's this coming from? But it comes from the heart and the soul, and you just have to put it out there and let it fly.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's not forced. You weren't on this assembly line where it's like, the huge record company wants your release, and you're just forced, and you
Right.
got to fill
Yeah.
up a certain amount of time. It's just like, yeah, it's best when it comes organically, and
Hmm.
that really shows. So a lot of good inspiration there too. And yeah, life, there are those tragic moments where, it's like you can become inspired by it, but it seems like it takes some time too to gestate. And some creative stuff did come out of the pandemic. Like some did, it's very tough to really try to find that inspiration when the world is just so turned upside down.
Yeah, I mean, I think because our minds, and the other thing too that you have to consider, I think that we all realize at this point, is that the overall attention span on a global level, because of all the technology and everything that's being implemented, is a lot less than it used to be.
Oh, it's
So
gone
I'm
so
really
fast.
grateful,
Yeah.
that folks are taking the time to listen to the songs, because I know everybody's busy. We all have lives and things like that, but also our attention span. I mean, we're going in a million different directions these days. So if you can keep your focus and remember what your name is, you're doing all right. You know? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always the disappointing thing. Technology has been great. We've been able to do all kinds of things we couldn't do years ago, especially
that's
like what we're
right.
doing now.
Yeah,
And but the bad thing is what it does to attention spans. I do miss those days, people really sit down with the album. And
hmm,
nowadays, like, like listening to something like what you put together, it's great when you're going out on a run, you multitask, but like nobody, it's very rare if you sit down with the album, read the liner notes, really look at all the photos that come with the package. It's there's nostalgia there too when you really think
right.
about that. And that's, and some of those record stores are have made their way back into our lives. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, and it is nice, and there's a lot of positive to, like you said, to what's going on. But I just think that, individually we have to make the time, to get back to simplicity. I think overall, take the time to just kind of chill, and it's hard to do today. It just is.
It is when so much stuff is competing. People are, you're watching, even in movies, people are looking at their phones. It's like, no, you got to discipline yourself to just shut the thing down for the entire
Yeah,
length of it. Don't
it's
like
an
multi.
addiction. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
it is. People feel, it's a fear of missing out too. Like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh. But, can't we just like multitasking is a horrible thing. And that kind of became a popular thing through the
Yeah.
90s and beyond. It's like, there's nothing good about
Exactly.
multitasking.
Yeah, and I'm not, I think that another gift too is, and we all have our gifts, right? Is like, it's easier when you're sort of in the throes of creating something, painting or writing a song, to put your phone away and not, I don't even think you're like in a whole other world. And I think that that's really a blessing today for people that, we all have our gifts and things that we can kind of escape to get away from all of that stuff.
Yeah, and you found that, painting and music, which is just like it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it's like to me, that's why I like talking to artists like you. It's like it's just magic. It's like what's the secret to the sauce? And nobody can really even explain it. Yeah, are you born with it? Are you nurturing it? There's no exact science to it, which also makes it exciting as well.
It is exciting. And I think, when you're first starting out, you have this idea that everybody does this, right? Because you don't realize. And again, like as I've kind of grown with the songs, I realize how incredibly creative and um, that process, or incredibly lucky, I should say, that I've been to be this creative. It has its sort of yin and yang aspects too, right? It's not always easy, but I think overall that we're really lucky if we can just have this process and not question it. It's hard not to question, but it is kind of magical, really. It's enchanting on
Yeah.
some level, yeah.
And with the title track, how did you come to call the whole project after the title track? Where did that inspiration happen?
I think because of the hardships, maybe that on a universal level, it really was about hardship in terms of the pandemic and what people go through every day in their everyday lives, and how that sort of connected with my grieving and what I went through with my dad. And um, I think the main point again of making music is so that it's healing on a universal level.
Hmm.
So I thought, and there's so much division and so much stuff going on in the world that I know it's real hippy dippy to say this, but I think the real answer is love, compassion, and kindness, right? If we can start there, that's a heck of a good place to start. So that's where that all came about. I thought, it's not it's I like the way that it sounds. Love is why, right? At the end of the day, it's why we make sometimes not so good decisions too. But
Right.
it just sounds like it would be a great starting place for humanity. And I think a lot of us are there, but it's just a good message to kind of keep circulating, I'll say.
Yeah, yeah, that started bubbling up in the 60s with the Beatles. All you need
Yeah,
is love. Then,
yeah,
70s Elvis Costello. What's so funny about it all? Yeah, and I just love that, ever since then. I mean, that was an epiphany. I think it really does, you go back to Beatles and it always all points come back to that. And it
right.
really is, it's that simple too. And you could tell how much it's inspired people like you.
Yeah, it does. It's really inspiring. But I think for me, like, I've had to learn really to let go of a lot of things. And you let go of the people that you love when they pass to some degree. You never let them go as far as spiritually, and they're always there. But I can't just pick up the phone and call my father like I used to, and I have to let go of that. There's some level of that. So it takes a lot of love sometimes not to be angry about losing someone that you love that deeply. You have to really practice love and understanding, So it comes from a real personal place too.
Yeah, I can totally understand. I lost my dad on New Year's Eve 10 years ago. It's
I'm
coming up on 10
sorry.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because it just hits you. It's like, my dad used to love to do lectures. We'd be in the car and we'd drive for, I was a teenager or whatever. I'm like, oh gosh, here he goes. He's kind of an intellectual. He would just like go on about it's about anything. So it's like
Yes.
I'm glad now that I have those memories because it's and it just hits you at these moments you just don't see it coming and you get sad and then melancholy and
Yeah.
those feelings it never goes away. It just hits you when you really really least expect it.
It's funny. I was talking with a friend of mine about that recently, and his father's been gone 34 years, and he still gets that way. So, yeah, I think that we all experience that, and that's why it's important, to put good things out into the world to help
Yeah,
people out. We got to help one another out. Yeah.
more than ever. It's like, why are you letting like politics and these charlatans split you up, get you all upset, your head does a 360 when you hear things you don't want to hear. We're
Yeah.
it's only gotten worse. I've seen it just like completely just devolve over the last 3+ decades, and
Yeah.
It becomes more and more of a circus.
And that's why the message is so important right there, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You have a great bluesy groove in that title track. I just love the feeling of where you're getting it on some of these tracks and some of
Thank
the
you.
inspirations. I can hear a little bit of that Bonnie Raitt influence on some of those like wine and spirits. It seems like you had somewhat of that influence there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, like when you're creating, you're writing songs and things, I've never really thought about influence per se. I'm very flattered and I'm honored that people have compared me to folks like Bonnie Raitt. Um, Karen Dalton is another one that I get, or Lucinda Williams. And I think those comparisons are just an honor, you know, when people say things like that. But when you're creating, you know, it's just, again, I'm just like in the pocket of writing the song and I have no idea sometimes where they're coming from. And you just trust that and go with it. But the end result, I think Marco Giovino, the producer, did a really wonderful job with these tracks so that they are current, I'll say, you know.
Yeah,
And I just feel really good about that. So thank you for saying that. I think Bonnie Raitt is like phenomenal. So
yeah.
appreciate that.
And folks, if you listen to this, it's like you're not ripping her off. I mean, this is just like, and I'm pretty sure it comes on this subconscious level. It just
Yeah.
has that vibe. You are an original, and we all have our extreme
Yeah.
influences. You could say that about anybody, even
Right.
even the Beatles. I mean, come on, everybody was inspired by something. So like nobody's ripping
Exactly.
anything off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's important too, in the sense that you just have to keep good music going. And the fact that there are folks out there that consider what I do good is that's always a positive, right? As opposed to not paying attention at all. So I just feel grateful for whatever comes my way, really.
Yeah. How long did the project take to, from start to finish? Start writing, recording, and finally mixing and releasing. This was recorded a little while ago now.
This actual album has been sitting for almost 2 years,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and I was kind of on the fence, frankly, about releasing it. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with it, and
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
kind of went through a tough time with that. Like I just didn't know because of the pandemic and everything. I wanted to focus more on my family and things like that, but there was just something that said, no, you really should get it out there. And honestly, I felt like I owe that to the musicians and to Marco. So I'm glad that that was a decision that we made, you know. But the whole project overall, I mean, I wrote the songs over the course of a few years, and then we recorded the stems. It was just myself, Marty Ballou, and Marco, just the three of us with the roughs. You know, we just laid everything down and then did overdubs. So I'd say the whole thing probably took close to 3 years.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
shows. It's perfection in that sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost feeling like Steely Dan, who used to take forever on
Yeah, I
recording.
mean 3 years in the sense that if you're including writing the songs, you know,
Yeah.
but as far as getting in and recording, just the basic tracks took like 3 days, you know, and then the overdubs came. But it was mostly as far as long, you know, what took the longest was basically writing the songs. I take a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got to go at their own pace and what they're most comfortable with. Some people, yeah, they can crack out an album in 2 weeks, and others can
Yeah.
take for, yeah, no exact science at all. Standout track to me is with Paul Thorne. And you did now this is a Greg Allman piece that you covered on this duet.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song called Please Call Home, Greg Allman's song. And um, we ended up duetting. Paul overdubbed, we sent the track his way, and I believe he used an engineer in Mississippi or Alabama, and we just did the overdubs that way. But I'm just honored that he's on the track. I love his voice and I love his songs, so I've been a fan for a while.
I knew about him when I interviewed Huey Lewis years ago, and Paul Thorne had opened up for him a number of times. And he's come here to the
Wow,
Southeast. He's played here in Peachtree City, which is way south of here, and then the Chattanooga Riverbend Festival. So, yeah,
nice.
big name. I was like, wow, you got to work with Paul Thorne, Paul Thorne. I mean, he duetted with Huey on his track "Bad is Bad," which is like a real bluesy number.
That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah,
Beautiful.
he's phenomenal. His phrasing is like through the roof. So I just feel really lucky to, have him on the track. Did a wonderful
Yeah.
job with it. Yeah.
I mean, I was really, yeah, really, really impressed with that. And you have a great cast of characters on this
Thank you.
project and
Yeah.
some really good slide guitar on there too. It sounds like a genius is on that.
Yeah, thank you. That's Doug Lancio. Doug's been on the road with Bob Dylan recently, and again, just like it's kind of like a dream. I'm still pinching myself. Some of these folks. Bo Ramsey has been a longtime favorite of mine. He's a wonderful guitar player, leaves plenty of space. Room to breathe. The McCrary sisters, like, there's just so many folks on there. Brother Paul Brown, he's with the Waterboys, so it's like really a dream come true for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a solo
Yeah.
release, but the help from your friends really makes all the difference. You have a great accordion on there, Charles Giordano. That's
Yeah, he's
just
amazing.
love
Yeah,
the accordion just really adds so much great texture to tracks. It's
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, from the E Street Band. So it's just, they brought the songs to a whole different level. And the accordion's one of my favorite things on the album.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great set of tracks. And your first full-length album since like was it 5 years ago you had your previous EP?
Yeah, I had a full-length album in 2018. And then I think I've released maybe a little blues single in between. So this is, it's long overdue, and I'm glad we're getting it out there.
Yeah. Now, are you getting out there traveling, putting on shows, spotlighting this material? Are you staying mainly in the New England area or are you going beyond that region?
No, I'm actually leaving. We're doing a tour in the Netherlands, Germany, and then I've got a few little things over in England that we're going to do and explore. England for me is kind of a new area. We're just going to go over there mostly for my wedding anniversary.
Oh.
But the Netherlands, I'm real fortunate in that I have a little label over there. It's really good to me. And we're going to head over and do some tour dates from the 27th of October through mid-November, pretty much, and head back.
Oh, you
And then I
love.
have shows after the holidays.
Yeah.
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 That's great for an anniversary celebration is to go over there. It's just beautiful. I love doing the London pub crawls and just the
Wonderful.
countryside's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got hooked on this PBS program called All Creatures Great and Small, and I really loved it. It's about veterinarians, 'cause I'm a huge animal lover. So I believe a lot of it was filmed over there in what they call the Dales, the North Yorkshire area.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a gorgeous area. So we're gonna kind of explore that a little bit.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah.
So during COVID, you really got to, I mean, to get connecting with your family and people with you. How was that experience just being basically in lockup and just being close with family? And maybe that's even good to get together and really connect again.
Yeah, I mean, it was really quite an experience, I think, for us all. You know what I mean? It's because of the constraints, it was quite frightening, I think, for everyone, on some level. But I also think that it was a really wonderful lesson in getting back to basics and the things that, you know, we should practice every day, taking the time out for one another and things like that. So it was a forced slowdown, which I think in many ways is a huge positive. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that too. But I traveled twice during COVID and it was so easy. I
Ah,
came to Boston. Yeah. In Boston, Logan was like practically, I had it all to myself.
unreal. Really? When did you
Yeah,
travel? Was it during the earlier part of COVID or sort of in the
kind
middle?
of both earlier on, like October 2020. Actually, it was, yeah, 3 years ago as we speak, actually, I think almost to this
Wow.
week.
Wow.
And yeah, there was hardly anybody at our airports. Atlanta's airport's crazy. There was a little bit of activity when I got
Yeah.
to Boston, and I was really nervous. I get off the plane. I thought they were gonna like ask for all these papers and everything. Massachusetts is like
Yeah.
so much more on lockdown, and they're like, "Move along," It's like
That's hysterical. Yeah. I think each airport was a little different. I know some of them were clearly more strict than others, perhaps, but it was just such a strange time. I remember when we got the call, I had just landed in the Netherlands, and like I said, maybe 4 or 5 hours later, I was literally, it was like, I felt like I was in the midst of like a poorly executed espionage flick, you know? We had to leave the
weird.
Netherlands and I was driven to Dusseldorf and stayed there
Wow.
for a few days. No one, there were 5 people that I could count in the entire hotel. And then from Dusseldorf, I flew to Dublin, stayed for another 3 days, and it was like a ghost town there as well. But that was at the very beginning.
Yeah, how surreal that was. I
Right,
was like, oh my gosh,
right.
they could shoot a horror movie at here. It's just like it's
Yeah,
so eerie.
exactly. It was really, really scary. And frankly, like when you're in that situation, you don't even know if you're gonna get home within a month or so. Like that was my biggest fear is, oh my goodness, am I gonna be here for a month or so? Like how long if I do get stuck over here because of the travel ban? So it was just quite a race to get home at that point.
Yeah, yeah. And I also saw you have a very interesting family history, like for going back to your grandparents. Obviously, that artistic ability
Yeah.
has come through the family. You were very, very fortunate. You're
Thank you.
somewhat related to Bing Crosby.
On my dad's side, there's a relation to Bing Crosby, and then on my mom's side, Herman Melville. So we
Okay.
always felt like that was a riot, to learn that. And I have a cousin, Amy Correa, who was she was on a major label as well a few years back, and she's a wonderful songwriter. So and my grandmother on that side, my dad's side, was a pianist for the silent movies. So there's always been like that creative side of things with folks on my dad's side and mother's side because she's a visual artist. So
Yeah, people had to
yeah,
do it. We had to have sound with the movies. It's just fascinating, and to play that long too through a movie,
right.
that's gotta be tiring on the hands, I'm sure.
Yeah, she was quite a lady. I guess she was pretty forward thinking. Was like a dental hygienist before a lot of women went into that field and things. I think she went to school for that. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of cool how that, the bloodlines are kind of creative ones, I guess.
That's impressive. That really is. So that
Yeah.
helped you as far as like learning your instruments and learning how to just get the vocals down. Were you pretty much self-taught? Did you take any kind of lessons when you were really young?
Yeah, I'm primarily self-taught. Um, and I wasn't very good, when I started. It was kind of scary actually. But I've tried to take a few guitar lessons and I actually did when I was younger. But I've always had more of an affinity. I do everything by ear. I improvise a lot, and I find I think it's all part of that creative process, that discovery. I'm kind of addicted to that part of it. So I don't really, and I can't read music. I have a really hard time with that. So
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Everything is more or less improvised.
It seems like very few artists who I speak with really know how to read music. It's just, it's not really so much that it's ironic. It seems to be incredibly difficult. You got to have this really, I don't know, maybe a mathematical mind in a way. It seems very, very tough.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bob. And I definitely am not, that math is not my forte. I'll put it to you that way. So I just find that it's a lot more, it feels more natural to do it this way,
Yeah, yeah. And also on the album, I love your later track, Are We Free? That pretty much sums it up too.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful, beautiful vocal work on that as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Was that a lot of takes to get that, or are you just like, yeah, this comes to me. I just, prep, get the tea ready, and I'm off.
Thanks for asking. I think the problem that I have is that I'm not a great pianist, and I think that's why we had, I wouldn't say it was difficult, because working with Marco Givino was like a piece of cake. He's so down to earth, and he's such an amazing artist in his own right. He made things feel like it was okay, but I knew, I'm like, geez, how long is this going to take? But it was more to do with the piano than the vocal, you know what I mean? But we finally just got the take. It was live.
Yeah, to get that falsetto, it's like, I don't know how people do that. It's just like, I'm just like so amazed by that. But I really think it's really interesting. You say you were not good on piano. I always go back to Billy Joel. Somehow he always ends up back in my conversations, but like I've seen him a number of times. He's like, I'm not a good piano player. I'm like, what? You're the piano man. What are you talking about? I don't see it. What are you talking about? You're not a good piano player.
That's amazing. I'm definitely, I tell people I'm not really much of a harmonica player either, because again, it's just kind of like hunt and peck type thing, but it feels good. And if it fits the lyrics and it fits the song in terms of melodically, again, you just kind of go with what, everything with me is about feeling, I guess, at the time. So and when we got the take, I was so happy and relieved, because I wasn't, at some point I was like, geez, are we going to get this, because it's much different in the studio, obviously, than it is when you're writing something at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Different. Yeah.
I see people, and this has been going on through the pandemic and beyond, like a lot of home recording studios. So to go into, it's obviously got to be a way different environment. And obviously the producer wants to make you feel as comfortable as possible, but yeah. And that's,
and Marco did a great job. He does a really wonderful job with artists that way, so it wasn't a matter of being uncomfortable. It's just a different environment altogether. Right.
Yeah, totally. And that is the duty of the producer. I was reading Phil Ramon's book about how he always did that, and it was just really, really important to make the artist as comfortable as possible, let them feel like they're much more in charge, and the results are, very, very, very good.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So like that part of it, I think being in the studio with him made this entire record what it is. I mean, I'm really proud of it. I think it's probably my best work, and I know a lot of artists say that about their current work, and you'd like to think that you're lucky if you can arrive at that point. But I'm really proud of the songs, and I think, like I said, like those musicians and Marco brought the songs to a whole different level for me,
Yeah. Did you get into doing any music videos for this? Are you going to, or you're basically like, if I'm doing video, it's basically, live performance. It's not really some artists are just like, I just don't want to do like, a concept music video. I'm a musician. I'm not like an actor.
Yeah, I like video work. Sometimes I'll do my own, just because again, it's a form of art, and I really love that exploration. Um, but I did a little cartoon video for the one with the duet with Paul, and it was really fun to do that. And we are planning on doing a video for one of the other tracks, but I just haven't decided which one yet. Takes a while to kind of hone in on that, you know, and
Sure.
decide like which one. But we'll probably do maybe one or two more.
Yeah, I mean, and then they're fun to do if you can get into that. But all the songs they're probably like your babies, so it's like, oh, I can't choose, my favorite. I love all my babies equally.
Yeah, you do love them. And for me, it's more about I'm hoping that they'll be your babies. You know what I'm saying? Like in the
Yeah,
sense of you just release them and you say that, it's hopefully that you share something good with people and then you move on to the next thing. But yeah, I mean, you're not just going to throw anything at a video. It has to really have meaning and feel really good. So I'm just kind of trying to decide like where to go with it.
yeah. Some of these artists were just like so great and way ahead of their time. David Bowie always comes to mind
Oh my
because like
God, I love
nobody
him.
was into videos, but then like he got Beatles did promotional films and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
Bowie was like one of those very early ones where he was getting into that. And speaking of that, he also sang with Bing Crosby. So everything's connected, isn't it?
That's right. It is. Yeah. I went to see Bowie. It was that wonderful tour that he did. I think it was the Let's Dance tour, and it
Oh,
blew
Serious
my mind.
Moonlight. I missed that
Serious
one.
Moonlight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to see
It
him
was
on that
awesome.
one. I saw him on the Sound and Vision tour about 7 years after that. God, I love them. It still hits me. It's like I can't believe he's gone. I can't believe he's gone. Tom Petty, Prince, Whitney Houston, and these people I grew up with.
No,
It's
all
weird.
all of the icons, right? And you realize that the day will come when this happens, but when it happens, you're still like in
Yeah,
absolute shock. It's just a very strange thing.
it really is. Try not to get depressed over that. I mean, we
I
don't go
know.
on
I know. I
forever.
feel that way too lately because it just seems like we've lost so many folks over the last few years that are just truly like iconic, right?
Yeah, people I've seen in
Yeah.
concert. I'm like, wait, I saw the video. It's kind of hard to accept. But where can we find this album and also see your videos?
Well, the album will be released pretty much everywhere on the 27th of October. YouTube, you can find me, I guess, just about anywhere online. Um, and then hopefully we'll have some more US dates lined up once the holidays pass. I'm just kind of waiting until we have some of the holes confirmed and we're working on it now. But I do have shows, that are confirmed for January and just going to go from there.
Yeah, yeah. Do you enjoy traveling, going on tours, or is that just like, you get halfway through and it's like, oh, I'm getting burnt out, or you just like always have your mojo no matter what you
I
do?
kind of enjoy it. I tend to be a pretty kind of private person, I guess, but I still love people. I
Yeah.
love hearing about people's lives and what they're up to. And so that part of it's really nice. It's been really groovy getting out there and meeting different folks. But I just feel lucky. Like if I can keep working, I just feel like, wow, it's a good day. And I consider it like a gift, so I try not to complain about it. I mean, I get tired, I'm not 20 anymore, Bob, but I
I
enjoy
know.
it.
It's so frustrating because it's like you got this, you're doing one thing and your body's saying something else, and it's like, come
Right.
on, I got the
Yeah.
energy here.
Yeah. Like when you get up in the morning and your feet hurt, right, to walk on the floor. But again, like every day above ground's a good day, man, especially with everything we've gone through, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're survivors in that sense. That's
That's right.
that's very, very good. Wow,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and oh, you also had some songs in TV and film. So that's gotta feel. How does that feel when you watch? You in an episode of Rescue Me? And
Yeah, we're in a couple of those and Justified with Timothy Oliphant. And
yeah.
then I was really lucky. I got a song of mine in a really cool bar scene with Liev Schreiber and Naomi Watts in the
Oh,
movie Chuck. It was about Chuck Webner, the boxer.
oh
And it was a
wow.
really cool movie, and it's very surreal, you know, to see your name in credits like on a movie screen and stuff. And I just feel, again, like lucky. I feel fortunate that they chose the song, and it's a cool experience, you
Did
know.
some producer just stumble on your work and say, "Hey, this is going to be great for my project"?
Well, I have a publisher in LA, and she just pitched the song, and we got lucky, you know.
Sweet.
So
Oh, wow, that's
um,
awesome.
yeah, I think it's good, and I think what it is it's like recognition of hard work, and that feels really good, you know. So at the end of the day, I love that Buddhist philosophy of like, before enlightenment, sweep the floor. After enlightenment, sweep the floor. You just got to keep the broom going, you know, keep sweeping.
Yeah, that's it. Keep sweeping. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. Well, it's been great speaking with you. I really enjoyed it.
you as well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And best wishes with the new release. Love is why. Get it wherever you get music and on the website. I'll put that information up here as well.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate all you do for the music.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And thank you for listening. It was a really, really great talk. She's really sweet. Really, really nice. What a great cast on that, too, on that album. Get it wherever you get music. And we'll see you soon.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.